Hey everybody, I'm Brian. Welcome back to BellTube. Today we are talking about a theme of quality versus quantity, because quality is really what it was all about for me in the month of September. I'm going to share with you what I read in the month. I'm going to share what my pick of the month is going to be, and I'm also going to let you know about some incredible book mail that I received in September. So grab a beverage. I don't care if it's hot, I don't care if it's cold, just make yourself comfortable, and we're going to have some fun today. All right, quality over quantity is the theme this month. I came into the month of September a little bit behind. I'd only maybe done about 10% of this bad boy in August, so this was first up on the list. Yeah, this is Reaper's Gale, book 7 in the Malazan Book of the Fallen, of course, by Steven Erikson. I loved this book. I don't even understand it because there are other booktube channels that kind of place this near the bottom of their favorite Malazan list, and I didn't find that to be the case at all. I really enjoyed the convergence that we got in this book. I enjoyed some of the continents that are all of a sudden starting to come together, different cast members that used to be over here, now they're finding their way over here. I really like that aspect a lot. I still don't pretend that I know what I'm reading when it comes to Malazan. I'm picking up a little bit here and a little bit there. I'm not watching any spoiler videos. I'm just really trying to experience this, you know, as a rookie, as the first time that I'm ever going through this series. I know it can only be the first time once, right? So do I know what's going on here? No, not really. I have some kind of ideas and little things here and there that are starting to develop in my mind, but I'm just trusting in the author, Steven Erikson, that he knows where the story is going. I trust in my other booktube friends that think this is one of the top, if not the top series that they've ever read before. So yeah, I really did enjoy this a lot. Is it my book of the month? I guess we're going to find out here in a few minutes. The second book I read in September was our Quiluminati month book, or I should say quarter book, and this one was selected by Philip Chase, and it is The Hour of the Dragon by Robert E. Howard. Yeah, this is my first experience reading anything Conan. The only thing I know about Conan prior to this was that he was a barbarian, he had dark hair, and Arnold Schwarzenegger played him in the movies in the 80s, and beyond that, I had absolutely no idea. So I was really pleasantly surprised when we convened over on Philip's channel that I really did enjoy this book. Now, possibly my enjoyment may have come from the fact that I had just finished Reaper's Gale and my brain was about as full as it could possibly be. So to read a fairly, I'm not going to say pedestrian, but certainly not complex in any manner, even close to the level of a Malazan book, it was nice to read a pretty simple, straightforward story. Also, the book happens to be very short, even though, like I said, it's the only full-length Conan book that he wrote. I buzzed through it in like 2 sittings. So really enjoyed that book. Is it my book of the month? I don't know. We'll see in a minute. Speaking of seeing in a minute, let's try to get more people to see our channel. And you can help me out by doing, you know, a simple thing, and that's simply hitting the like button. Yes, in this video, I'm not even going to suggest subscribing because that's up to you. But what I've determined is that YouTube really feeds the algorithm based on the percentage of viewers that actually click that thumbs up button. So from me to you, my ask today is if you like this kind of videos, if you'd like to see our channel get exposed to more people, please do like the video. You'll be surprised, less than 10% of people who actually watch the videos do something simple like click a like button, and it makes all the difference in the world. If you want to subscribe, terrific. If you don't, that's okay too, but liking the video, it really does help. So thank you very much in advance if you so choose to help me out. Let's talk about the third book that I read. Again, quality over quantity. Boom, look at this, Janny Word's Grand Conspiracy. This is book, I want to say 5 in the Wars of Light and Shadow, her epic 11-book masterpiece, the magnum opus, so to speak. What I think of Grand Conspiracy? Well, folks, This has been my favorite one so far of the Wars of Light and Shadow. This is book 2 in the arc of the Alliance of Light. If you're new to this series, you don't need to know anything about that at all. Jani has done something really incredible here where she's taken 11 books, big books, and made 5 arcs amongst the 11 books. And this is the 3rd arc that we're really kind of in the middle of. There's a big read-along going on. We'll be discussing this book over on the channel Library Unbounded, hosted by Sylvia, sometime later on in October. But I have to tell you, things are starting to come together for me in this series, far more so than they are in Malazan right now in terms of trying to suss out what's going on. But, you know, Jani can give you some red herrings as well. So some things that I think might be happening, maybe I'm completely way off base and couldn't be further from the truth, but I do know this. I read this book faster by a mile than the first 4. I couldn't put it down. I wanted to know what happened, but also I think my brain is getting a little bit more accustomed to Jani Wertz's writing style, and it's reading to me just like most other epic fantasy books do, which is really terrific. It means that these kinds of books, even though they're quite large, aren't taking me nearly as long as they did, say, The Curse of the Mistwraith right at the beginning when we started this read-along. So, Grand Conspiracy, is this the book of the month or my pick of the month? We'll find out in a minute. The other book that I read, the 4th book, is Lit RPG, and this is by Zogarth, and it is Primal Hunter number 4. All right, so I've been kind of bantering back and forth with my pal Andrew over at Andrew's Wizardly Reads about Primal Hunter, and both of us are kind of quietly, or maybe not so quietly, falling in love with this series. It gives us so many great elements of Lit RPG that I think that people that are maybe relatively new to Lit RPG would really enjoy. Do I suggest Primal Hunter for, your first foray into it? Probably not, but definitely your second or your third, I think you'd have no problems with it. We're getting new character development, we're getting new cast members, we're getting the world is expanding, there's different gods that are kind of using people as tools. It's really fun stuff. Obviously, the titles of these books are, like I used the word before, somewhat pedestrian, Primal Hunter 1, Primal Hunter 2, Primal Hunter 3, Primal Hunter 4. Guess what the next book in the series is called? You got it, Primal Hunter 5. So that'll be coming up for me sometime, probably in the next couple of months. I've got, I listen to most of my Lit RPG on audio, and I've got some commitments to read some other books or listen to some other books kind of in the meantime. But I'm very excited about Primal Hunter because when book 2 ended, I was a little iffy. And I think when book 2 started, Andrew was even a little bit iffy, but it resolved itself. And yeah, cheers to Zogarth for writing what so far is turning into a really, really excellent Lit RPG series. And the good news is there's lots of books, so we don't have to, all of a sudden burn out on them and we're out of books. All right, it's time to pick a book of the month. This is an easy one, and I can't even believe it because never have I read a Malazan book of the Fallen and it not be my book of the month. But my pick of the month for sure, Grand Conspiracy, Jani Wertz by a mile. I love this book so much. I can't recommend her series enough. Forget the intimidation factor. Forget the intimidation factor on both Wars of Light and Shadow and on Malazan. Now, I would suggest you don't do what I am doing, and that is reading one of those books every other month. That's a little overkill. And what you may find if you try to do something like that is things get a little mishmashy in your mind. And also it limits the amount of books that you can read in a month because they're so large. And also because they take quite a bit of focus to really understand what's going on. I mean, the Dramatis Personae pages, I want to say in Reaper's Gale was like 4 or 5 pages in very small type of all of the named characters. And I found myself flipping back and forth very regularly. Almost, I'm going to say every chapter, I was flipping back to remind myself, who's this person again, and what group are they with, and, who are they associated with, in the overall story of things. Janny Wirtz's books don't do that as much. They're equally as deep in theme, but the cast is a little bit tighter, so you're not having to go back to that dramatis personae to figure out, all right, who's this person again? You already know. So book of the month, pick of the month for me, N-Easy Janny Wirtz, Grand Conspiracy. Congratulations, Janny. You have won a lifetime supply of, I don't know, Kraft macaroni. I don't know. I'll talk to the people, that actually run this show. Could be Turtle Wax. I don't know. All right, let's move on a little bit and talk about some books that I picked up myself. And as a matter of fact, there was only one book I picked up myself, and that's because the Quilluminati will once again be convening in December here on BellTube this time around. And it was my choice to pick a book. It was my turn to pick a book, and I picked something that none of us have read from the author at all. I think it's possible that a couple of the guys may have seen the TV show, but we're talking about Michael Connelly's The Last Coyote. This is a detective mystery series featuring, I think the main character's name is Harry Bosch. I know there's an Apple TV show about this, but I don't know if any of those shows covered the events in this book. I reached out to Josh over at Red Fury Books because he is really the Michael Connelly expert, at least in this corner of BookTube. And I said, all right, I want to get the fellas into reading some Connelly. Where shall we start? Because this happens to actually be book 4. And he said, absolutely start with The Last Coyote. So Josh, thank you. We're starting with The Last Coyote. Let's talk about some books that got sent to me. There's just a handful of them, but they're pretty awesome. So my pal author Dennis M. Myers has got this series, and it's called Rise of the Automated Empire, and I've not read them yet. He sent me the first 4 books so far. And Dennis, I just want to say thank you for sending these. You always send such a kind note as well, and these will be read. I'm not sure when, as you know. The list of my TBR is very, very extensive, but he's been just such a pal that I want to make it a priority to get to those books. Next up, I can't even tell you, when I went to my P.O. box and the post guy hands me this giant package that's very heavy, my first thought was, this must be a mistake. This can't be for me. But it was for me because one of our amazing patrons, Sarah Beth, decided that these amazing editions of the Broken Bindings Magician series ought to be on the shelves behind me. Now that is absolutely incredible. I'm not going to do a whole, unboxing or an unwrapping of these papers because you've probably seen them on other channels already, or maybe in some Instagram reels or YouTube shorts. But suffice it to say, this artwork is fantastic. I should have done my homework to name who the painter is of this art, but she didn't stop there with just Magician. She also sent me book 2, Silverthorn, because when I've read all these, by the way. So when this first came out, Magician, it used to be called a Magician Apprentice, and then book 2 was Magician Master. They've now obviously made it all into one book. So book 3 is now book 2, which is Silverthorn. Incredible. And book 4 is now book 3, A Darkness at Sethanon. Phenomenal. You guys, a long time ago, I want to say about a year or so ago, I did a video talking about my most read authors, right? So I added up all the books I've read from the different authors that, I've read in fantasy and science fiction, and I was basically floored, as my friend as my brother in the South, John Minton, might say. I blew my hair back when I looked at it. It blew my hair back. That's the line. Okay, cool. No editing. It blew my hair back that I've read 19 books by Raymond E. Feist. These are absolutely going on the shelf. The next time you see me on video, you're going to see these books really proudly displayed. What else did we do? So I did a video finally, I did a video a couple years ago called Epic Rock Pairing. And that's when we get our guy out heavy duty and he comes and matches fantasy and science fiction series to rock and roll and heavy metal bands. Now, I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. Clearly, by the amount of views that video got, it's for sure not everybody's cup of tea. But that said, if you missed that video, I will put a link right here to Epic Rock Pairings Volume 2, and you can see for yourself what Heavy Duty got up to. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It is a little discouraging when I make videos that I have so much fun thinking about and getting to use some that was a weird way of saying getting. Anyway, that I get to use some creativity in doing, and people just kind of avoid it or don't click on it or don't like it or whatever. But hey, that's what you get on BellTube. You come here for the nonsense and sometimes for a book review or two. Another thing that I did at the end of the month, and I believe it probably aired last week, was I joined my great friend Sylvia over at Library Unbounded, and we played her Lord of the Reeds TBR game. I'm going to put a link to that right here too, because I traveled throughout Middle Earth in the game that she invented, and we decided what my October and my November TBR is going to be right there in the video. So if you want to know what I'm reading this month in October, take a look at that TBR video. It was just an absolute blast. I have to thank Sylvia again for allowing me to experience what she's created. It was just terrific. So what else do we got coming up? I've been thinking about the channel a little bit, and I know the fourth quarter, we've got some cool stuff. We've got Illuminati. I'm going to be bringing back For Whom the Bell Tolls. There's reasons that I haven't done it a little bit more often. A lot of it has to do with how YouTube treats live videos, and I'm debating between, do I keep them live so people can engage, in the chat and be part of the conversation, or do I pre-record them and release them as videos so more people actually see them or hear them as a podcast, because that seems to be what YouTube prefers. If you have an opinion on that, please do leave it in the comments below if you like when they're live, or if you don't care if they're live and recorded is just fine. I like them live because I like, sort of juggling the conversation and chat and the technical issues that inevitably occur. They did earlier this week, if you saw my chat with Jonathan and Seth. But so anyway, For Whom the Bell Tolls is not dead. It is coming back, so you're going to see some more of that in the fourth quarter. What else? I want to do a video probably, I want to say in the next couple of weeks, that Mike has done on his channel before. So yeah, I'm going to kind of steal Mike's idea. Once again, that's nothing new. I steal Mike's ideas all the time. I'm thinking about doing a video that talks about series that I've not started yet that I want to read in 2026. Because while I still will be continuing Wars of Light and Shadow, because there's a lot of books and I'm doing them every other month, I'll give you a little sneak peek right now as of, what's the day today? October 9th, I think. October 8th, October 9th, I think is the date. I'm reading Toll the Hounds, and so that's book 8 of Malazan. Of the main 10 series, 10 books in the series, I'm going to be completed by February. So I'm going to have way more time than I had this year, not bouncing back and forth between Malazan and Wars of Light and Shadow, which means I can do a video talking about some series that a lot of you guys have been requesting that I read for a very long time, that I'm finally going to get to next year. And it's incredible that next year is really only like 90 days away. It's crazy. Let's do a one for the road and I'll let you out of here. Let's talk about this last quarter. Let's talk about from October through the end of December and what we want to do. For a lot of people, it becomes kind of like an R&R quarter where they're like, you know what, I'm going to just rest and recuperate and I'll come back and hit it hard in January. Yeah, sometimes they work kind of hard mentally and physically or whatever till about mid-November. Then right around about when Thanksgiving hits in the States, everybody kind of goes on mental timeout for about 6 weeks. And that can be useful in many regards. It's time with family, it's time with friends. It gives you a little bit of time to recharge your batteries. I've always looked at it just a little bit differently, actually quite a lot of it differently. And I don't recommend this, necessarily, but it's something to kind of keep in mind. In my life, I've noticed that when other people are taking their foot off the gas about anything, if you are trying to accomplish something, it's much easier when fewer people are even trying. And I found that in the fourth quarter of almost every year, a huge percentage of the population takes their foot off the gas and allows you to cruise, forward. Not that it's a race, not that it's a competition, but if you're going to be working anyway, sometimes it's nice to go, you know what, this is cool. I don't have as much competition for whatever it is. Maybe there's less people at the gym and you can get on the equipment faster. Maybe it's less people at the library. You can get some of the books that you want a little bit quicker. that type of a thing. Now, that said, you gotta put some time in for R&R as well. So my one for the road, I know it's a little bit of a mixed message, but it's just to kind of keep in the back of your head, there's a lot of people that are kind of putting themselves in time out for the next 90 days, sort of, either mentally, emotionally, or whatever. It might be a good time to ask yourself, how can I excel? How can I achieve if so many people are getting sort of, so to speak, out of my way, and I can go ahead and do that? It's also a really great time to reflect and take some of that rest time as well. So like I said, mixed message on today's one for the road, but I do think it's worth at least considering which path you would like to take, because at least you're considering it. So many people are walking blindly through life and they don't consider anything at all. And then they wonder, well, why did I end up where I ended up? It's because they never put any conscious thought into the path that they were on in the first place. So maybe that is the message for the one for the road today. Try to be a little bit intentional about what you decide to do for the fourth quarter. If you're going to work super hard, work super hard. If you're going to kind of go on R&R mode, then go on R&R mode and come back in January and just have tons and tons of saved up and rejuvenated energy. Or if you're going to blend them, then blend them, but make it an intentional plan. That's the one for the road. See, sometimes I think of these things just on the fly, and sometimes they work. Again, everybody, September was fantastic. Congratulations to Janny for the book of the month, my pick of the month. Stay positive, everybody. And of course, here's your fortune.